Hello, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, and welcome back to Pixelated Talk. As I'm your host Herman, and today we have someone very special, a special guest. He connects the Southeast Asian, NC and Dota to the rest of the world. And without further ado, let's head right into our intro, shall we? So, give the intro in 3, 2, 1. Welcome. You're listening to Pixelated Talk, and I'm your host Herman. On this show, we talk everything from entertainment to education. But before I head any further into the episode, let's introduce our guest for today. As you heard just now, he connects the scene of Southeast Asia and China to the rest of the world. It's none other than Leon Arthur Lee. Hi Leon, welcome to the show.
Hey Herman, hi, thanks for having me.
Great to have you here. Can you give a small introduction about yourself to those that maybe do not know you yet or want to know more about you?
Well, my name is Leon Arthur. You guys can call me either Leon or Arthur. I'm totally fine with either one. So I'm a caster right now. I'm looking to go into talent, and so when I'm not doing that, I'm also doing some writings. I publish articles. I do interviews. I do podcasts as well. And before I decided to go into this talent route, I was also coaching and managing teams as well. So that's kind of what I do and what I've been doing since graduation 3 years ago.
Yeah, can you just share with us what you graduate from that actually led you to this entire part of esports?
I graduated from University of Nottingham. I actually studied finance and economics, but I'm not doing anything that is related to that right now. So it was in my second year where I went to China, Ningbo, for as a transfer student. Exchange student. Sorry. So when I was there, I get to see firsthand how developed and established the esports scene is in China. And streaming was very popular back then. It was just the beginning of the streaming, so it was quite fascinating to me. And then at that point, it raised a lot of interest for me, and I just felt like, damn, this is something that I want to do when I came back to Malaysia after graduation.
So is that actually why you started this series called Connecting the Dots?
Not exactly, because when I just started in esports, I was a coach and manager in Gig Fam, and then after that, I branched out to being a talent. But creating this podcast, the idea of it haven't came to me until the third year of my career. So it was just very recently that I came out with this idea of because before this, I have always been a fan of listening to podcasts, interviews, and stuff like that. Anything that can connect me a little bit closer to the players, because I love storytelling. I love listening to story as well. Then I just think to myself, during my time of casting and managing and coaching players, I kind of, gather myself a pool of players that I can connect with. So why not I just use this opportunity to interview them, to ask them about their stories.
Do you think that creating this series in itself, do you think it actually gives you a feeling of like, actually things are so much deeper than it is from the surface, from you see? Do you give out that vibe from after this entire podcast?
Absolutely. So I think one thing that when I was a spectator or just a casual viewer back then, I was very interested in what are the personality of these players. How do they communicate? How do they behave behind the scene? When we are not seeing them on screen, how are they like? So I have all this kind of question and interest. So having this podcast is also one of the way for me to find out. And also, I believe there is a lot of people like me out there that are super interested in knowing more about these pro players. And I think this is a very big reason why I started this show.
In your opinion, like, no harm to anyone, do you have one specific player that you interviewed before and you're like, this is really different, this is really fascinating? Or do you think all of them is really special and unique?
I think most people, when I hop onto the podcast, I don't know what to expect from them, because I know that a lot of us, we aren't exactly how we are when we're on screen and off screen. And I think a lot of players I find it very interesting to talk to them, to know another side of them. And I feel like so far, all the players have been pretty amazing and fascinating. So very recently, I interviewed the director of Fnatic, his pal, and I was just like so mind blown and eye opening to me because I'm able to learn so much from them, to how Fnatic has been approaching the team as a whole and their vision and mission and stuff like that. So I was just very happy that he's so open to me, and I'm very happy that I'm learning so much as well by doing this podcast.
Of course, I think those that know you, then knows that you are a Dota player, and of course you are do casting on Dota and so many more. If you don't mind, what position do you play? Just curious.
Uh, so when I'm really truly grinding, I think I play support role. Yeah, but when I'm just having fun, I'll play any other role as well. But I'll play them like less competitively, more casually. But when I'm really grinding, or maybe when I play some casual tournaments, I'll be playing supports. Mostly position 5, I would say.
Do you think supports, specifically position 5, are like that captain that really needs to show them and motivate them? Do you think that is the role of a pos 5?
I think most of the time, yeah. But I think it really depends on what kind of players that you have on your team as well. Some of the players in Southeast Asia, I would say a lot of the core players, they are pretty young, pretty inexperienced in a way. So I think a lot of times you see in Southeast Asia, especially the post 5 and post 4 are normally the veterans, so they make the shot call. But yeah, I think in other regions, for example, like China, their core players are super vocal. So most of the time, you as a position 5, you don't really need to do so much in terms of shot calling in a macro sense. Most of the time, you are just, I guess if you're able to enable your core players to do what they want to do, and you let them lead the game, that will be fine as well. So it really depends on what kind of dynamic and atmosphere the team is, and the players as well.
Mentioning about core players being very loud, I've heard your interview and podcast with NTS, Nothing to Say.
Yeah.
And he mentioned that Army, if you are listening in the English stream, AME, if you're listening from a Chinese stream, do you think that's what made PSG actually so different from other teams?
I'm not. I don't know, man. Because when I talked to Nothing to Say, he kind of said that, okay, us as a team, we talk to AME. We tell him that, all right, if you think you're strong, you need to voice out, you need to speak out. So to me, I take that as one of the very rare or little weaknesses from AME. It's because he's kind of a quiet guy. But I think, I don't know, I just feel like when you're in Dota, right, you somehow need to find a way to contribute in the team atmosphere. And communication is definitely something that you can't miss out. You can't be winning games by not talking anything and not sharing any ideas to your teammates. So I still think no matter what, no matter how good you are, you need to find a way to communicate, to voice out to your teammates so that they know how to enable you as well.
I'll slightly sidetrack a bit since you're talking about carries. VP, Virtus Pro, their new carry peer is at 2k MMR. Means basically it's way below the usual pro players bracket, you can say. Do you think that brings like pure?
He's 2k MMR?
He's been calibrated 2k.
Oh, you mean he used to be 2k?
No, he is 2k.
Really?
Yeah, I just saw it just now, like 3 hours ago.
Okay. All right, cool.
Do you think that
I'm not too sure about that, yeah, but yeah.
I'll check again later, I'll fact check later. But that's what I saw just now. I'm not sure how legit is it. But if that is the case, do you think it brings an entire different dynamic? As you can see, I think OG actually literally just went down the leaderboard and just see, okay, no team, I'll pick this up. And do reaction time play such a big role?
Reaction time?
Since they're so young,
I think reaction time definitely plays a bit of role when you are on the heroes that really requires reaction time, especially heroes like Morphling, heroes like PL. There's some kind of heroes that requires a ton of microing skills. I think those definitely favor the young players more, especially heroes like Morphling. That's why 23 Savage is so good on that hero, right? Because it's so young, he plays it so much. It's all muscle memory in a way. So yeah, but to me, if you ask me, is that the biggest value or qualities you're looking from a player, probably not so much of that. Obviously, that would be a bonus. If you're high skill enough, that would be a bonus. But I think in the highest level of Dota, you want skill, you also want communication and experience as well.
So, since you mentioned about grinding just now, how many hours do you play a day on like just grinding sessions?
When I was really, really grindy, I think I play like easily 6 hours minimum a day. Yeah, so that's like 6 games minimum in a day. And yeah, that was pretty grindy to me because I'm not very used to this super high, super long hours kind of Dota. I still need to go out to do some exercises or work out a little bit. So yeah, recent days I'm grinding a lot lesser right now because I'm more focused on doing content right now.
Speaking about 6 hours and all this grinding thing, since you're in the Chinese Dota scene, I think you have heard of this thing called Tenkang Tong, which is like
Oh.
a so-called healthy system where it actually blocks you from playing after that. I think 5 hours or something. What does it mean to pro players actually?
I think this thing it acts more like a reminder, more like a rather than a block. Because when I tune into Perfect World, I do see that thing, reminding you that okay, don't play too much, go out to experience some life, things like that. But the pro players, man, they practice so many hours a day in a scrims, in a scrim setting, and then after that they want to play pop to work on their personal skills as well. I don't know if it actually stops them from playing more. Actually, I think it is a good reminder for the players, but I don't think it blocks and in any effective way. Yeah.
Speaking about Perfect World, I tried to log into Perfect World servers. Now you need a identification card number and a Chinese phone number.
Okay.
And I think majority of us listening, if they play Dota, they'll probably play on C servers. And I think C servers are well known to be toxic, high skill but toxic, even in lower brackets. Do you agree
Yeah.
with that?
I'm not sure if Southeast Asia should be labeled as so, because I feel like every different region, got a pool of toxic players of their own. I just don't think it's fair for Southeast Asia to be labeled as toxic. High skill, yeah. I think very unenthusiastic in communication, yeah, as well. Because people in Southeast Asia, they speak so many different languages. Sometimes communication is just really not the kind of thing in pub games. But yeah, I would say though, the attitude of Southeast Asia is super try hard. Like everyone is super try and trying hard to win. And maybe that's why some people gone down the wrong route to be a little bit toxic. But still, I think the attitude itself in Southeast Asia players, ultimate goal is to win, is very admirable still.
I wanted to, since you mentioned that you are a talent, and what does it take, to be an analyst or caster right now that you're doing?
What does it take? I would say just like first of all, you need to have a decent amount of understanding in the game for sure, and then after that, all the knowledge on the player's background and whatsoever related to that. I think those are very, very important too. And I would just say to be a talent, like I wouldn't give any advices because I'm still at the very grinding stage and I don't think I'm in any position to give advice. But I do feel like recently I've understand that for someone to be a talent, you need to find a unique point of yourself. You need to be special so that people will want to listen to you. You need to bring something different to the table and just be unique, especially in your own way. And with that, I would say the chances will come to you very, very soon as a talent.
Can you explain decent? Because decent is different in everybody's terms. So what is your decent?
I would say right now the meta is basically the same. And if the meta is always going to be established pretty fast in the pro scene, right? So if you are able to listen, first step, I think the first step is to listen to the casters that are casting some of the tier 1 level or tier 2 level tournaments. And if you understand everything that they say and you can connect to that, you already know what are they going to say coming next. You kind of have a pretty good idea on how the game is going to fall out or pan out. And I will say that probably is what is decent in a way. And I think that's probably not very hard, because as long as you put enough time to study what the casters say, and I think that would be already pretty good to hit the level of being a talent.
So
Obviously, sorry.
Sorry, yeah, please continue.
I mean, obviously, some people, some of the talent, they have experience playing a team, they experience coaching some teams as well, or managing. That's why they bring a lot of unique point of views, right? But if you don't have that, I'm pretty sure that if you spend enough time to gather all these different points from different talents, you already have enough weapons in your arm, in your arsenal to create and to bring this decent level of understanding.
Who do you think is the best caster right now, or either over a span of this entire thing?
Oh, that's a hard question. Allow me to change the question a little bit. I would just say,
Yeah, sure.
my favorite caster, my favorite talent, I really like Albo Plus. The Spanish talent that has been the bridge to Western and the South American scene, and he's also perfect in his English, which is his secondary language, I think, which is something that I admire a lot, because English is also my secondary language, but I'm nowhere close to his level in terms of language. And he's so passionate, so enthusiastic as well. He's a very eloquent, very articulate as well in expressing his ideas. So I love him a lot. I love that guy. Another one I would say is definitely Kyle. I like Kyle a lot too. I think he is a very unique personality in the scene, and I think he understands that at the end of the day, esports is entertainment, and if you are stepping to the broadcast desk, you want to be entertaining. You want to be able to share stories in interesting ways as well. So I think he does that perfectly so far, and I'm drawing a lot of inspiration from him.
About our plus, he is one of the casters at TI, and I think all of us know what happened at TI. And do you consider this the best TI? Because I have a friend that he has played since the first Dota 1, just Wolf, yeah. And he said this is the best TI ever since TI 3. What's your opinion on that?
I think this TI was definitely very hyped, because it's the first TI in 2 years, and everyone is really looking forward to it. But I kind of feel like the hype died down a lot because of COVID, especially how serious and severe the situation was becoming in Romania. To me, I still love the environment of having a stadium full of fans and cheering for the players in the booth. So to me, I feel like my personal favorite is still TI8 and TI9. I think those two are equally good to me and equally inspiring to me.
Do you attend those two events?
Or I haven't been to any of the TI yet, unfortunately.
How about TI10? Do you actually get a ticket?
Nah, I didn't.
So
I was planning to, though. But yeah, it was just too hard for Malaysians to get out of the country. You need to have permission from the country to, you need to have a valid reason to get the permission as well. And going TI as a viewer definitely is not valid enough. So unfortunate.
So I was going through your Twitter just now for all the stuff that you actually report on. Where do all the leak information come from actually? Because it's pretty hard, to get information out of such a closed environment and no one knows anything.
This is where a magician never reveal his magic. But I mean, it's just by talking to a lot of players, by having connections to players, knowing the players, hearing some things here, hearing some things there. I think it's just like that, and also just being very active in scouting informations in different platforms, in different forums as well. There's a lot of forums like that leak information. Then when I see them, when I think to myself, maybe this is logically going to happen, then I'll ask some of my friends in the circle if they have heard the same thing or if they can verify that for me. So that's basically how I get the information. Yeah.
So this process of verification and understanding also does it make you a better caster or talent?
I I would definitely hope to say so, because I think, like I said just now, for a talent to have a place in the scene, you need to be unique. And I think this is one of the ways that you can be unique as well, to bring the viewers something that they really want to know, which goes back to the root of why I wanted to create Connecting the Dot podcast as well.
So you mentioned just now that you were a coach for a certain amount of time, and there's this drafting phase in the start of each game, right? To those you out there that don't know what's drafting, it's basically a time where teams ban and pick heroes and just find good matchups if possible. And how important is that?
Oh, it is getting more and more important by days, I think. Like by every single year, you see that the draft is becoming more and more important and impactful to the game, to the result. I think back then, you can always hear that people would say draft is only 30% of the game, 70% still comes to the execution. But because every team is getting better and better in understanding Dota, in playing Dota. And if I think to this date right now, I would say draft is equally important as the execution and as the gameplay, because drafting, everyone is so good in understanding the disadvantages and advantages between matchups. And I think when you go to this high of a level, it's very hard to just straight up salvage the disadvantage in drafting phase purely by your skill in the game. So yeah, I would say it's equally as important as gameplay.
Do you think what happened at TI9, the Alliance and Insania thing, if you throw it back to, let's say, TI2, do you think it will be as bad as a problem?
Oh, that's a good question, actually. I actually think it wouldn't be as bad if we go back to TI2. Yeah, I wouldn't think it's that bad. But the thing is, Gyro, I don't know if it's released in TI2 or not, so I can't really, do any analysis on that. But yeah, I think back then, people play Dota a lot more on the skill. To me personally, at least. Also, I say this because I only got into Dota competitively during TI5. I only start learning the game in a competitive manner, so I'm not sure really how things were like before TI5. So I don't think I can make a very strong point here on this question. Yeah.
Another thing, because you mentioned that you've been playing pubs a lot, you're not really playing competitive and just having fun. I know people that actually turn on Dota Buff and put in all the heroes you want to play, put in the counters and everything, and go and pick the heroes. But Southeast Asia, they pick carry hard support, so it's a bit depressing. Yeah, so
yeah.
So do you recommend like having these statistics while going into just random game and have fun?
Well, I mean, it really depends, right? Because some different people, they grind Dota in different way. Like for me, I'm kind of happy-go-lucky kind of grinder. If I am dead serious in my grind, I would get burned out really fast. I'll have this crazy losing streak hitting at me like randomly. But when I'm approaching the game happily and I'm playing happily, when I'm in chill form, I tend to perform a lot better. So I think the first point of this is that when you want to grind, you need to identify which kind of grind is suitable for you. Are you the happy-go-lucky guy? Or can you play 10 games in a row with dead serious mode and you can still perform? I know some of the younger players are like that. For example, someone like 23 Savage, LTW, AME, these kind of players, they are known to be able to play a ton of games in a day. And then they will be still performing at a very high level. But I assume not everyone is like that. There will be some of people like me that need to be, put in the very chill settings to perform well. So I would say, first off, to really identify what kind of grind is suitable for you, and then take different approach that are available and suitable for you too.
I know your opinions of pro players in pubs, because you mentioned AME. I think maybe you have seen the video that he played in a European pub and this brew screwed up his game as a troll.
Okay. Yeah.
Do you think this affects Dota as a whole? Like, because it's a lot swearing, it's a lot of cursing back and forth. Do you think it affects like this entire community as a whole? Since a pro player is doing it.
Oh, definitely. I think this leads to a very big topic where whether or not pro players need to hold themselves as a role model to other players, right? And the people that are watching them, people that are cheering for them, definitely can get affected by that kind of bad behavior, I would say. But once again, Dota is such a high intensity game. Somewhere along the way, one would get out of control. I would just say that the limit is where you really need to play it very carefully. We have also seen very recently, Buranija from Chicken Fighter was threatening Excalibur, right? I think that is just way too out of the line. But if you're just saying like, if you're just laying out your frustration and that is related to the game itself, like for example, why are you not stunning this guy? Why are you not doing this or that? I think that's totally possible. Sorry, not possible, but acceptable in a way. Because in real life, we will be encountering this kind of situation as well, right? When you get called out by not doing things correctly. But when this kind of thing escalated to a personal level where you start threatening the others, that is no way to be accepted in my opinion. So the line need to be drawn very closely. Anything like death threat, anything like threatening your own safety, anything like that, it just needs to be controlled, I think.
Have you played with any pro players like in pubs? Do you think they are like really friendly people, majority of them?
I haven't had the luxury to play with too many pro players, but I would say that a lot of people, they are totally different when they are put in a pub setting and a team setting. Some of the people, they get irritated and tilted easily in pub games because they are the kind of people that have a high expectation of the gameplay, of the quality of game itself. So when the pub players, the teammates are not living up to the standard, it could get quite irritating. But these kind of players, when they are in a team setting, right, they could be a very healthy force that push their teammate to a higher standard. So I think it's really hard to determine whether a player is good or not just by looking at their pub attitudes. I think it's not that fair because I know a fair amount of players that are totally different in two settings, including myself even.
So you mentioned about you playing pubs a lot, right? What's your longest win streak ever in pub? I mean, you don't mind, do streak as well.
I think I'm not the kind of explosive guy that can win 20 games in a row. I think my recent one that I can remember is probably 11. Yeah, 11 is probably my longest win streak recently. My my longest losing one, probably somewhere around 15 to 20. Maybe not 20, that's a little bit too far away. I would say 15. Yeah, but I do want to say though, I'm a player that I can get more losing streak than winning streak. I don't know why. Yeah, it just feels like, if I start losing, I will, and if I keep playing, I'll just keep losing all the way. So which is why I try to not grind so much recently.
Yeah, I know what's your favorite hero? Like just play, have fun and play.
For support, it would be Rubik. For carry, it would be PA, Phantom Assassin. Yeah.
Okay,
especially when I'm stressed, man. Especially when I'm stressed, I play PA. I just feel good, just creating people down, killing people in one shot. It feels good. Yeah.
I mean, it's a way to release stress, right? Gaming is a way to release stress. So, you're in the esports scene right now. And I want to know your opinions on esports in general, not just Dota, but as a whole, everything. Even Valorant, at one point, Fortnite, PUBG. PUBG is still really big right now. Yeah, so even mobile games like Clash of Clans and Mobile Legends. What's your opinion on esports?
I mean, it's the future, man. I do believe that, sincerely, that it is the future. I remember Charles Barkley in NBA, the Houston Rocket veteran. Yep. He once said that he thinks esports right now is at the 90s of NBA. It's like the 90s of NBA. Wait, am I saying it correctly? Esports right now is like NBA at 1990s. So, it's kind of like we are still in a very growing stage. We are still in a very new phase for an industry. And I do believe that at one point, if you keep going, if everyone keep contributing, if we grow at a constant, gradual, healthy way, I would say that esports at one day will eventually be as big or as equal as all of the traditional sports out there. For example, NBA, the Premier League for football. Yeah.
So, from yourself as a caster, as a former coach, as an analyst, what are your tips to be a better player?
To me, I truly believe that thinking and watching and learning are a lot more important than playing. So I would say, for anyone out there that's struggling to break through your current phase, be it MMR or understanding of the game or skill base, try to take a step back, watch games, learn games, try to find out what are the pro players doing that you are not doing, what are the things that they are understanding that you don't understand right now. Try to find out these gaps and fill it and find some way to fill it as well. So, because I do think that Dota, at the end of the day, is a game that you need to use a lot of brain. It's like chess. You want to outsmart your enemy more so than outskill your enemy, which is why I believe TI 8 and 9 OG, they are the best teams in the world because they're just showcasing a much higher understanding of the game than anyone else at the moment. So yeah, that's my tips.
How about team spirit now?
Team spirit, I don't know, man. To me personally, because I haven't followed them too much before TI, I still think that we don't really know too much about team spirit, because their grind to the TI 10 was also very roller coaster as well. They dropped to TI 10, they dropped to lower bracket, and then every single series that they moved on, people will always doubt that, all right, this is probably the end of team spirit already. But then they make all the way to grand final, and then they won, and then people still think that, all right, it should be a pretty easy game for PSG, LGD, but then they prove it wrong again. So I do admire those, kind of, how to say, I do think that they are very inspiring, and I do admire their perseverance and persistence in the game as well. Because Miposhka, I heard this name since TI7, man. Like, he played for Empire, I think he was with Empire with the stand-in from Resolution, and then they took down EG, I believe. I'm not too sure, but then they took down some big teams, and there is when I know that this guy Miposhka, he is built differently.
So I want to head on to this segment. It's a relatively new segment in this podcast, and it's a pop quiz. It's a very simple pop quiz. And have you watched Arcane Dota Split?
Unfortunately, I haven't finished it. I was only in first or second episode, I think.
Okay, I think that would be good enough. So it's just a very simple 6 question. And yes. So the first question is LL or Dota? Should be pretty easy for you, right?
Dota for sure, man. Don't even have to ask. Yeah.
Next one. Arcane or Dota Split? I mean, Dragon's Blood. What was I saying?
I mean, definitely Arcane for this one. I haven't finished either of one, but at least I feel like I'm more inclined in finishing Arcane. Yeah.
Off lane, mid lane, or safe lane?
Off lane.
This is not really a 2 question. This is more of a selection. What is your favorite team right now?
Right now, Quincy Crew, because my boy Ponlo is there.
Okay, great. Your favorite player?
My favorite player, Ponlo.
Man, this pressing up your bro. Okay, great. Last one. Southeast Asia servers or Perfect World servers?
I would say Perfect World when the scene is healthy, because Perfect World so far, I don't know if you heard, there's a lot of actors, the game quality is very, very low, a lot of booster as well, but mainly the actors. So if we don't consider those, I would say China has the best pubs in the world because their communication is just so fucking beautiful. I think those are real Dota. In Southeast Asia, it's just trying to outskill enemy by your own, but in China, they are really playing Dota like a team.
So you mentioned, so is it that's why that they need identification card, they need phone numbers, they need so many stuff? Even
I think so. I actually think so. Yeah.
Is it your time that you just need an email to get into Perfect World servers?
Oh no. So I think people mistaken this thing. I believe if you only need all those identification thing to verify your identity when you're creating a new account. But if you already have an account, I believe you can just use VPN and then use your own account and go to Perfectware and play the pubs. So yeah, I think all the identification thing is only for you to create a new account. Yeah.
So I think that I'll use VPN next, I guess, and use my
Yeah.
semi-proficient Chinese to try to speak to them. So I'll hit to my last two questions. And what is your advice to anyone just want to go into casting to any games or just any esports? Any advice?
Um, as I said, like, I don't think I'm in a position to give advice, but I will share what I understand. Like I said just now, finding a unique point of yourself is very important, and try to build an identity or a brand of yourself is also very important. I think for the past 2 years when I'm casting, right, I'm just so focused on how to level up my understanding of the game. Try to impress people in the Dota way. But slowly, I feel like, and I found out it's not just Dota that is important. Your marketing of yourself, your branding of yourself, basically you as a whole, as an identity is also very important. People want to be interested in you, and then people will want to see more of you. That's where you will get more opportunities to actually be on events. So that's something that I've learned so far, and I found out so far. How true is it? I am not really sure, but I'm believing it that is true at the moment right now. Yeah. And for another thing is that, to go into such a small scene, you definitely need people to give you opportunities. So make friends along the way. Try to be friendly, try to make more friends, and the more friends you get, the higher chance you are going to get some opportunities.
My last question. Right now, based on what you watch and the so little information that we have, aside from CN, because they have not played any DPC games yet, who would win TI11?
Oh man, this is such a tough question. I would say on paper, I think Liquid looks really strong. I think Liquid is definitely, I would say, definitely top 3 in the world in terms of winning the shuffle season. I think they got themselves an incredible roster for themselves. I think Secret looking pretty interesting too. A lot of star players, a lot of veterans, and I'm really looking forward to seeing this chemistry between Ice and Puppy. On the other hand, in Southeast Asia, I would say that Fnatic T1 looking pretty strong too. Okay, I know what your question is. Who winning TI11? I would say my favorite go-to is still PSG LGD.
Yes, there you go.
I believe they have a very good shot at it.
Yeah, it's sad for them, right, to just get to 2 grand finals, game 5, and losing it.
Yeah.
So it's pretty hard for them. Hopefully they win next year. And Leon, it's great speaking to you right here. And I think that's the end of today's show. Of course, a big thank you to Leon for joining us and taking out your time from your schedule. And to our viewers, if you enjoyed today's episode, a follow would be greatly appreciated, and that will help us tremendously as well. We'll be posting every fortnightly at 8 p.m. GMT +8. And now, you can stream us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, and now even on YouTube. How far did we go, man? You can now find out more about me on my Instagram at Herman_Pang. And if you like, you can DM me, I'll probably reply. Anyway, thank you and see you next time. Hope you have a great day, night, or any other time that you're listening to us too. Bye bye.